Buongiorno a tutti, belle e buone farabutti. Make no apologies. I was raised in southern Italy, Napoli, and that's how we speak. But for today, I'll speak in English. Anyway, I was a pharmaceutical rep for about 30 years. And over those 30 years, I gave over 40,000 presentations, about 6 to 10 products every day to anywhere from 8 to 10 doctors a day. Every day for 30 years. Well, minus the Saturdays and Sundays, but occasionally we had workshops on Saturdays. And I did public speaking. Really, I started in 1975, when I was we're in college. I basically was in charge of the student union and spoke to about 1,000 students every Monday morning for a semester. I loved it. I absolutely love being in public. I like being in front of one person in a group, 10 people in a group, moderate all kind of little workshops like that. 30, 100, 1,000, no difference. I feel great up front. Be real, and we all know this. The first 10 seconds, 20 seconds, you got the butterflies and all that. Once that gets over and I got a sip of water, I'm good. Anyway, as I wrote in my application where I nominated myself for TED Talk, my emphasis and focus is on no excuses. No excuses at all. As you know, in the modern world, it's a world of excuses, of shortcuts, trying to do it faster, trying to do more faster. There is some value to that sometimes, but generally speaking, we want to go to the dentist that took his time to learn how to do root canals. No excuse for the hard work necessary for that. We don't want to go to the dentist that got a C- in root canals, or in extractions, or in drilling teeth. We want the guy who got A+. That's the way it is for everything in life. I learned it the hard way going to school in Italy. We were graded on a 1 to 10. 5 was failing, 6 was passing, barely. And if you got a 5, you had to do the subject all over again. You had to study it all summer and take an exam in September. And if you flunked, you had to do the whole year over, all your subjects. So we were motivated not to fail, and we had to study hard. When I was in the pharmaceutical world, our passing was 90% in A&P, anatomy and physiology. Pharmacology, the same. Got 89%, you got fired. How many people do you think got fired when they were offering you $100,000 a year? It's a great job, good money, good benefits. We studied hard, no excuses. And then I worked in the slums of Kingston, Jamaica for about 5 years. And in those 5 years, I worked with a group of about 100 young men. These were all poor, broke down, gangster wannabes, all literally at 16, 17 years old, willing to rent a gun for $5. Okay, rent a gun for $5. Commit the crime and bring the gun back. Okay, this is what went on over there. These guys, I had to mold them, and had opportunity every Friday night to do so. And one of my main underlying topics is the no excuse way of living. And out of the 150, unfortunately, 10 years later, now are dead. But out of the 50, about 5 went on to do something great with their life. And I feel that's a great success. I'll take 10%. Personally, I am the survivor of a heart attack and of a heart surgery, open heart surgery. They took a vein from my leg, put it in there. Believe me, that was no walk in the park. I'm also a survivor of a terrible Jamaican parasite that I got from 2 ticks that bit me in the legs when I was working in a bamboo grove. And I went from super strong to super weak overnight. And it took 2 years for that parasite to get out of me. When I came to the States, they couldn't identify it. The doctor told me I would never walk again. I was reduced to 159 pounds. That's less than what I used to weigh in high school. I looked like a skeleton. I had to walk with a cane. And believe me, I could have sat around all day, because every joint, every joint felt like a knife was in it. The only options were Opioids, which I refused. Mega doses of ibuprofen and Tylenol, which I did take, which probably contributed to my heart attack, which, by the way, in Jamaica, they told me was stomach trouble. Kind of funny. I come back to America, one test, they said you have a month to live. Interesting. No excuses. What do? Surgery. Please cut me. Fix me. 6 die out of 1,000. I'll take those odds. And here I am talking to you. And I'm still teaching boxing at 73. I'll be 73 in July. I'm teaching right now, tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock. I have a 290-pound, 34-year-old, overweight, 6'3", a couple of young guys. I'm teaching them how to fight. Here I am. I mean, it's amazing. No excuses. When I was feeling like I couldn't even walk from not even five feet with a cane, I chose to hobble over to the car, painfully sit in the car, painfully turn the steering wheel, because it was a car that had no automatic steering, and go where I want to go. I refuse to sit down and do nothing. And when I teach boxing, I tell them I have never ever lost a fight. Ever. Now, I've been knocked down many times. I've been losing the actual fight, but I never lost a fight against myself and my fight in the pursuit of excellence. And that's what I teach with the no excuse way of living. I'll tell you an interesting story. When I was a young man, about 15 years old, living in Calabria, in a town called Cosenza, southern Italy. My parents were working. My mom was at home. My father was working, never home. They didn't have the hold your hand homework moment. And if you want to do anything else, you had to do it on your own time, and you had to do it after you did your homework. And we had a lot of homework. And I told you how we were graded. And by the way, back then, before high school, I already had 5 years of Latin, 2 years of classical Greek, 5 years of English, college level geography, college level geometry, college level history, and other subjects, even theology at the time. So we knew what we had to do, but I wanted to get out there and do something, so I decided to try out for the track team. Now, I knew nothing about running, so I went to the track tryout, and they told us to run 4 laps, to run basically a mile, 4 times around. And I got in with a pack, started to run. And if any of you have ever done track, you know how tough that race is. The mile is not easy. And this was a tryout, so nobody's trying to win, but we wanted to at least stay in the clump of guys, right? Well, pretty soon I get left behind. Next thing you know, I got lapped, and I was the last one to arrive at the finish line. The coach came to me and said, è meglio che impari a fare la lana. It says, learn to work in wool. Learn to do crochet. It says, give up this track thing. It's not for you. Now, for some reason at 15, I thought to myself, I don't want to, non voglio fare I maglioni. I don't want to make sweaters. I want to run. So I trained by myself for 6 months. I didn't even know what I was doing. I literally did not have a clue about track and field. I ran every day for an hour, rain or shine. I applied at the quarterfinals, beat that. Semifinals, beat that. Out of 120 guys, there was about 20 of us on the last event. And on the last event, and I remember the race as if it happened yesterday, I got the gold medal. I have the gold medal sitting on my desk right now. Amazing. My parents didn't show up to see me. Nobody showed up to see me. And the people in the stand were chanting my nickname, which back then was Papoña, which means big loaf of bread on your face. Okay? How's that for self-image? But you see, self-image, as I've taught those young men, comes from not people telling you stuff. It's from you knowing that you've accomplished something you set yourself out to do. And I knew that. And even though I was a little skinny, wimp, nerd, geek back then, hopefully not now, I knew that I did something that was almost impossible and that the coach said I could not do. So there I am. And I learned that lesson back then. Now, when I worked in the pharmaceutical world, I had a small territory up here in Oregon. So my area was small. My concentration was small in terms of numbers. I didn't have the millions of physicians. But I had a small territory and I made it very fruitful. I had about 40% market share. That's a lot. My colleagues in California had about, they had millions of doctors. Their territories were worth millions of dollars. Mine were, I think my territory at the time was worth $800,000. Eventually I went to manage a $9 million territory, but $800,000 versus millions of dollars, but they had 2% market share, 3% market share. So I was doing a much better job, but my bonus was like $357.45, and they got the $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 checks at the end of the year. And how, quotes, fair is that? But it's sales. It's a territory they gave me. I have no excuse for anything but pursuing excellence in my territory. Eventually, they gave me a larger territory. I became a specialist in gastroenterology. And I managed Washington, Montana, Oregon, and Hawaii. He came to me one day and said, "Hey, Kaplan, would you consider Hawaii as your territory?" I said, "Well, what does that involve?" "Well, you'll have to go there every 5 weeks for a week. You're going to give me a car. All expenses paid." I said, "Let me talk about it. I got to think about that. Don't know if I can swing that. Let me talk to my wife." Of course, I was jumping inside, right? So in the afternoon, I told him, "Yeah, sure, I'll be glad to do it." So I got to do Hawaii for 2 years, every 5 weeks, for a week. It was wonderful, make some good money, manage $9 million worth of business for the whole territory, and quotes, I look good, right? No excuses. Small territory, big territory, do your work. They're paying you, do your work. They asked me what was the secret of my success, because I made top rep many times. I said, it's called a paycheck. You guys pay me. Greenbacks, I like them. I like those reports on green. So, I'll tell you one more story of no excuse. I dealt with some young men. They were guards. In Jamaica, a guard makes about $2 an hour. He has to stand on his feet for 12 hours a day. Sometimes they make him do 3 consecutive shifts. That's 36 hours in a row. No sleep. You lean up against the wall, they fire you. You need the $2. At the end of the day, after work, hard work, and they ate a little lunch, they go home with $10, if that. Can you imagine that? I knew one guy that used to make that kind of little money, and he walked 5 miles home to not waste the $2 to take a bus. But one of these guys was borderline gangster, borderline doing bad things just to survive. And I got into his mind a little bit and showed him what you can accomplish and gave him some dreams and showed him what he can do. He lives in a slum. He lives in a slum today. I still talk with him, still work with him. Slums, no water, no electricity, a little room, maybe 10 by 10. That's it. That's it. Bathroom outside, if they have that. I said, "Grant, if you could be anything you want, what would you be?" "Me, I want to be a bug killer." "You want to be an exterminator?" I said, "Grant, that's a noble career, especially in Jamaica. You got bugs everywhere, and they're everywhere, and they never disappear, so you got a permanent job. But you're dealing with chemicals and things that could be bad for you. What else would you like to be?" "I'd like to be a tile brethren." "You want to be a guy working in tile?" I said, "Well, let me see what I can do." So I looked around, came back to the States, raised some money. Imagine this, $2,000 for a 2-year program to become an expert tile setter. Now, he could never get that money. I raised the money. It wasn't hard. Little GoFundMe, got the money, put him through school. He went through school. Grant is laying tile right now in Kingston, Jamaica, making money. No excuses. He put his nose to the grindstone and did what he's supposed to do. Why do I teach this? Because our world has become soft. The world has become soft. I'm an older guy, was raised tough, raised hard. No excuses. Do it or else. That's how we were raised. Family, work, school, that's the way it is. You get a bad job, you got to work it. If you don't work it, you have no job, you have no food. That's how it works. And in Italy, lavoriamo per vivere, non viviamo per lavorare. We work so we can live. We don't live so we can work. Il dolce far niente, the beautiful aspect of doing nothing, the sweetness of it. Anyway, in a modern world that has kind of forgotten this concept of no excuses, shortcuts, speed and greed, do it fast, get so much of it, I teach the principles of how to live a life pursuing excellence, regardless of what you're trying to do, whether it's in your family, your relationship, your mental health, your physical health, your purpose, your meaning, what you'd like to do at 73. I don't know that I have another week of life. What do I want to do today? Pursue it with no excuses. And when we do that, we feel better about ourselves. We treat other people better. And what does that produce? A better society, a better city, a better state, a better country, a better world. And that's what the No Excuse Seminar is all about. It's up to us to do it. I teach you how. I hope to hear from you. And I would love to do a TED Talk on this topic. So please, let's link up and let's make this happen. Thank you. Arrivederci. Ciao. E speriamo di sentirci a presto. Ciao, ciao.